Your company has decided to make a major revision of their API in order to create better experiences for their developers. They need to keep the old version of the API available and deployable, while allowing new customers and testers to try out the new API. They want to keep the same SSL and DNS records in place to serve both APIs. What should they do? A. Configure a new load balancer for the new version of the API. B. Reconfigure old clients to use a new endpoint for the new API. C. Have the old API forward traffic to the new API based on the path. D. Use separate backend pools for each API path behind the load balancer. D. Use separate backend pools for each API path behind the load balancer. Your company plans to migrate a multi-petabyte data set to the cloud. The data set must be available 24 hours a day. Your business analysts have experience only with using a SQL interface. How should you store the data to optimize it for ease of analysis? A. Load data into Google BigQuery. B. Insert data into Google Cloud SQL. C. Put flat files into Google Cloud Storage. D. Stream data into Google Cloud Data Store. A. Load data into Google BigQuery. The operations manager asks you for a list of recommended practices that she should consider when migrating a J2EE application to the cloud. Which 3 practices should you recommend? Choose 3. A. Port the application code to run on Google App Engine. B. Integrate cloud data flow into the application to capture real-time metrics. C. Instrument the application with a monitoring tool like Stackdriver Debugger. D. Select an automation framework to reliably provision the cloud infrastructure. E. Deploy a continuous integration tool with automated testing in a staging environment. F. Migrate from MySQL to a managed NoSQL database like Google Cloud Data Store or Bigtable. C. Instrument the application with a monitoring tool like Stackdriver Debugger. D. Select an automation framework to reliably provision the cloud infrastructure. E. Deploy a continuous integration tool with automated testing in a staging environment. A newsfeed web service has the following code running on Google App Engine. During peak load, users report that they can see news articles they already viewed. What is the most likely cause of this problem? A. The session variable is local to just a single instance. B. The session variable is being overwritten in Cloud Data Store. C. The URL of the API needs to be modified to prevent caching. D. The HTTP expires header needs to be set to -1 stop caching. A. The session variable is local to just a single instance. An application development team believes their current logging tool will not meet their needs for their new cloud-based product. They want a better tool to capture errors and help them analyze their historical log data. You want to help them find a solution that meets their needs. What should you do? A. Direct them to download and install the Google Stackdriver logging agent. B. Send them a list of online resources about logging best practices. C. Help them define their requirements and assess viable logging tools. D. Help them upgrade their current tool to take advantage of any new features. C. Help them define their requirements and assess viable logging tools. You need to reduce the number of unplanned rollbacks of erroneous production deployments in your company's web hosting platform. Improvement to the QA/test process is accomplished an 80% reduction. Which additional 2 approaches can you take to further reduce the rollbacks? Choose 2. A. Introduce a green-blue deployment model. B. Replace the QA environment with canary releases. C. Fragment the monolithic platform into microservices. D. Reduce the platform's dependency on relational database systems. E. Replace the platform's relational database systems with a NoSQL database. A. Introduce a green glue deployment model. C. Fragment the monolithic platform into microservices. To reduce costs, the Director of Engineering has required all developers to move their development infrastructure resources from on-premises virtual machines, VMs, to Google Cloud Platform. These resources go through multiple start/stop events during the day and require state to persist. You have been asked to design the process of running a development environment in Google Cloud while providing cost visibility to the finance department. Which 2 steps should you take? Choose 2. A. Use the No Auto Delete flag on all persistent disks and stop the VM. B. Use the Auto Delete flag on all persistent disks and terminate the VM. C. Apply VM CPU utilization label and include it in the BigQuery billing export. D. Use Google BigQuery billing export and labels to associate cost to groups. E. Store all state into local SSD, snapshot the persistent disks, and terminate the VM. F. Store all state in Google Cloud Storage, snapshot the persistent disks, and terminate the VM. A. Use the No Auto Delete flag on all persistent disks and stop the VM. D. Use Google BigQuery billing export and labels to associate cost to groups. Your company wants to track whether someone is present in a meeting room reserved for a scheduled meeting. There are 1,000 meeting rooms across 5 offices on 3 continents. Each room is equipped with a motion sensor that reports its status every second. The data from the motion detector includes only a sensor ID and several different discrete items of information. Analysts will use this data, together with information about account owners and office locations. Which database type should you use? A. Flat file. B. NoSQL. C. Relational. D. Blob store. B. NoSQL. You set up an auto-scaling instance group to serve web traffic for an upcoming launch. After configuring the instance group as a backend service to an HTTP load balancer, you notice that virtual machine VM instances are being terminated and relaunched every minute. The instances do not have a public IP address. You have verified the appropriate web response is coming from each instance using the curl command. You want to ensure the backend is configured correctly. What should you do? A. Ensure that a firewall rules exists to allow source traffic on HTTP/HTTPS to reach the load balancer. B. Assign a public IP to each instance and configure a firewall rule to allow the load balancer to reach the instance public IP. C. Ensure that a firewall rule exists to allow load balancer health checks to reach the instances in the instance group. D. Create a tag on each instance with the name of the load balancer. Configure a firewall rule with the name of the load balancer as the source and the instance tag as the destination. C. Ensure that a firewall rule exists to allow load balancer health checks to reach the instances in the instance group. You write a Python script to connect to Google BigQuery from a Google Compute Engine virtual machine. The script is printing errors that it cannot connect to BigQuery. What should you do to fix the script? A. Install the latest BigQuery API client library for Python. B. Run your script on a new virtual machine with the BigQuery access scope enabled. C. Create a new service account with BigQuery access and execute your script with that user. D. Install the BQ component for cloud with the command cloud components install BQ. C. Create a new service account with BigQuery access and execute your script with that user.